Hey, hey, what are we talking about today? Stress. Everybody's stressed and everybody's complaining about stress, but is stress really a bad thing? I'm Dr. Shané. Welcome. I'm Dr. Shané of SP Consulting Group. I'm your organizational development psychologist as well as your licensed psychotherapist. And I serve as an executive wellness coach for high impact leaders, especially women of color who are leading on purpose, aiming for work-life balance, and they may be found in as business owners, independent, leaders. They may be found in your top, Fortune 500 companies. And then there may be some that are found as celebrity influencers and those that are people leaders. So I work with a lot of women of color who are really pushing to really stay in the game and not be overcome with stress. I work with a bunch of others as well, but that is my specialty because guess what? I'm a woman of color and I'm in leadership. And I did like 11 plus years as a therapist, as well as I was a recovery coordinator. I was administrator, healthcare administrator. And your girl was dealing with burnout and stress. But we talking about stress because so many people come to me, whether it's because they are looking to sign up with me and begin to work with me as a client, or those that are looking for psychotherapy as a patient of mine. Either way, I wanted to take some time to talk about it because here we are in summertime. We're in the summer seasons, and I want you guys to be able to enjoy things more than maybe you had been in the past, right? It's hard to really enjoy a lot when you are bogged down with this overwhelm, with all this stress. And so I wanted to jump on, and we've been doing this little series, this mini series on stress, managing stress. What is stress about? How can we overcome it? But what about the good things that come from stress? I've hinted to this in so many different ways, whether it's on my social platforms, follow me if you're not already, Instagram, go on Facebook, Twitter, even. I'm not quite hip yet to TikTok, but you can find me pretty much everywhere at the SPC group. So that's THESPCGROUP. That's where you can find me on all those socials. Send me a DM. Let me know that you've been listening. And if there's anything you want me to talk about, whether it's pertaining to this video, these tips, or other things that you're struggling with, I'd love to hear from you. All right. What are the good things of stress? What do we get out of stress? I want to talk about a few things, and it's not necessarily things that we think about all the time. But did you know that stress could actually sometimes boost your brain power? Have you ever thought of that? Like low levels of stress. Okay, let me be clear. Low levels of stress actually stimulate the production of the brain chemicals called neurotrophins or trophins, neurotrophins. And they basically give your connections like between your the connection between your neurons in the brain like superpowers. They strengthen their connection. In fact, this may be like the primary reason why when you exercise, physically exercise, that's physical stress. It helps boost productivity and concentration, right? Short term, short term, short term psychological stress can add and have a similar effect to what you get when there's the superpower boost of endorphins from your workout. Who would have thunk it, right? It's a temporary boost, though, as well as it being a temporary boost in your memory, because again, we are giving like a little jolt of sorts, if I can say it that way, to even your memory. So your memory, as I've shared many a times, is it operates and the neurons fire for your memory in your prefrontal cortex, which, interesting enough, if you've been following me, you'd know that in the prefrontal cortex, with extreme stress or long-term stress, you can lose, meaning that jolt is no longer jolting. And you are just in the point of being in survival mode. So be careful with that, but just think about it. That physical stress, those short-term, stress that like get you going. Like, oh, I have an assignment. Oh, I gotta go. Oh, the presentation's on. I didn't even realize I only have 1 more minute to, walk across the stage. Oh, whatever it may be. Did you know that? Did you know that stress, again, in the short term, can increase your immunity? Mind blown. Literally. Listen, when the body is responding to stress, it is preparing, as you guys know, for like survival, for the possibility of an injury. You're in that fight or flight mode because of that stress. But again, in the short term, because your body is thinking to prepare, or the synapses are synapsing, and I'm definitely not being technical. They are actually also preparing to boost your immunity for a possible infection from an injury. Yes, really. Chemicals that help regulate your immune system are jolted and provide a temporary boost. And it's like a temporary dose that your body gives to itself. And that was some back in 2012. You may want to check out some studies that came out of Stanford that found that when they were working with the lab rats, mild stress produced massive, and I mean massive, this is what they said, massive mobilization of several types of immune cells in their bloodstream. So, yeah, there's some good to some short term stress. So, don't just be out there trying to be in la la land. And some of you out here self medicating. We're going to end up probably talking about that at another time. But it can help short term, short term. Okay. So, another thing about stress, as the good of it, because everybody likes to refer to it as a bad thing, as stress is bad. Oh, I hate it. Oh, I got to get rid of it. Well, let's broaden our horizons here. Like, let's help each other engage in neuroplasticity. We are growing our mind, we're growing our range of understanding. Did you know that stress, temporary, short term stress, can make you more resilient? Some of you may be like, yeah, with that one, I can see that. I can see that. Well, think about it. Learning to deal with stressful situations can make it, you know, future stressors easier to manage. And that's just according to some research they did on like resilience. And basically the idea behind it is like when there's this Dr. Shelton, who did some work with some Navy SEALs. And basically this doctor came out and said, well, although you are certainly benefiting from less extreme experiences, repeated exposure to stressful events gives you the chance to develop a physical and psychological sense of control. So when you're in actual danger, when you are, according to this research, when you are actually in combat, when you are actually engaged in that event, you won't shut down. Stress is in some ways a protective factor. Interesting. Guess what? Stress also motivates you to succeed. You dealing with your situation long enough, you're going to get real motivated. You're going to get motivated real quick to do something different, even if it's difficult. Okay. Think about it when you're having like a deadline at work, like it's staring you in the face, and it's actually going to stimulate your behavior. Like, what are we going to do to manage the situation effectively, quickly, and actually in a way that yields greater productivity, right? When we're talking about and reviewing stressful situations as a challenge, it could also help you meet the challenge, meet your goal, hit your milestone, right? Rather than it being overwhelming. But disclaimer, you must ensure that it is not long-term. You can't be doing this on a long-term basis. It's not going to be helpful. It's going to turn into pathology. It's going to turn into something that is diagnosable. Burnout is soon to become diagnosable because it has already been labeled by the World Health Organization as a mental health syndrome. If you did not know, now you know. And let me throw in the G.I. Joe fallacy theory. Just because you know better Don't mean you're going to do better. So think about it. Yes, there are benefits to stress. Yes, you may feel like this high when you wait to the last minute and you procrastinate it forever and forever. But if you don't do well, you're going to get real stressed. I mean, amongst other things, right? And just another thing to throw out there. And again, because I'm a mom, I want to throw out a little piece in there as it pertains to child development. You know, moms to be. I was talking to somebody who was very stressed and was talking about one of her stressors was making sure that she has everything prepared for when she begins to go through the process of, preparing to have a child. And this is what I told her. If you are so worried and so stressed, you're going to get to the point where you get in the way of development. But guess what? That little bit, just a little bit. When moms to be are often worried about their overall anxiety and how it will negatively affect the unborn child, because it can, especially when it's like without ceasing, there's no break in that, there's no breath, there's no moments of peace. You're just pervasive and added about all the things to possibly worry about. Yeah, that absolutely is the case. You can even have trouble carrying, and that's for you if you were to have a surrogate, the mom to be, the person that is bringing a child in the world. If you're too stressed, it can negatively impact and or prematurely abort an unborn child. But let me tell you, we're talking about benefits of stress. Okay, let's get back to it. The benefits of stress. In 2006, Johns Hopkins did a study where they basically found out that most kids of the women who reported like mild to moderate stress levels during pregnancy actually showed greater motor skills and developmental skills by the age of 2. Another mind blown? Yeah. And that was in comparison to unstressed mothers that just was carefree and had everything just perfect and perfect. And they were just so on cloud nine in every aspect of their pregnancy, no worries. So the one exception to that, though, and of course, there are precursors. So again, what did I give as a disclaimer beforehand? Take this information, apply it accordingly. Your situation may be different. But the one exception that they found with Johns Hopkins, the study that they did there, was that the children of the women who viewed their pregnancy as more negative than positive did have slightly lower attention capacity. So pay attention to how you're doing things. But overall, I'm just saying there's some benefits, and I'm just to list them out really quickly. Like, it can boost your brain power, you can increase your immunity in the short term, and it can even help you become more resilient. It can motivate you to succeed. And for those that are trying to conceive personally or in communication with those that may be a surrogate for them, a little bit of anxiety, a little bit of worry, a little bit of stress won't hurt anybody. So don't be too hard on them or yourself. Okay. So I hope this was helpful. We'll keep going with the get on of our series on stress management, and what is stress, and just like today, what are the benefits of stress? So I will see you guys next time. If you like this video, if you felt that the tips were helpful, or you have any comments about it, or any personal situations you'd like to share, feel free to comment in the comment box. We will make sure to answer or respond to your comments within 24 to 48 hours. We be living life out here too, managing our stress, getting the good, but taking out the excessive, all of that, managing balance. I'm Dr. Shané, SP Consulting Group, your organizational development psychologist and licensed psychotherapist. And if you need help, just reach out, DM me, and I will see you guys later. Take care. Bye.